everybody, it's Femtrooper, and I beat 21 games in 2023. Let's talk about it. So I want to talk to you and do a recap of all the games that I beat in 2023, which is 21 games. This is amazing because in 2022 I beat 20 games, so this is a huge deal. I've broken my record, so we'll see if I do even better in 2024. I don't know. Anything over 20 or close to 20, in my opinion, is really, really good, especially because most of the games I play are pretty long. So I'm very happy to say I beat 21 games. So let's just go through them. And remember, if you aren't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, click like, and tell me all the games you beat in 2023. The first game I beat in 2023 was Pokemon Violet. Now, I love Pokemon games so much. I get so excited when I hear that they're releasing a new one. I've loved the franchise for years, but I have to say, this is not one of my favorites. The story was pretty good, but other than that, I didn't really like this. This just didn't do for me at all. I could care less about, the way everything was handled. You couldn't even go into buildings. I didn't like the battles. I really didn't care for it. I thought the whole world was very bland. This was just a very blah, boring, uneventful Pokemon. I didn't care for it, so yeah. The next game I beat was Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. One of my favorite games I played last year. Holy smokes, I absolutely love this. This is so, early 2000s in the best way. This really feels like you're playing a PS2 game. I know it's a PSP game originally, but it really has that Final Fantasy X kind of vibe. And I really enjoyed that. Just the way it looks when you're walking around, when you're actually engaged in a battle. It was really fun. The story is incredible. It's very emotional. I really recommend this. This is a great action JRPG that definitely shouldn't be missed, and it's available on tons of platforms, but I actually think it was really good on the Switch. Really, really solid. Awesome game. Next game I beat, Fire Emblem Engage. This is my favorite Fire Emblem now. It's funny, there are some people who really didn't like this, but I did. I fell in love with the story, the characters, the graphics, the art style. Everything about this was really fun. I loved that every single chapter you'd meet a new character, you'd, gain a new party member, and it was really fun to kind of see what was going to happen. Really love this game. Highly recommend it. If you like Fire Emblem, you'll like it strictly because of the gameplay. I know Fire Emblem is really crucial on that. It's all about the gameplay. But I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was super colorful. It's a gorgeous looking game. It is not like Three Houses, and I didn't like Three Houses. So this was a Fire Emblem for me. So that's something to know. Maybe if you weren't into Three Houses, you might actually really like this one. Next up is a game that I actually traded in. There are two on this list that I traded in because they just weren't really for me. And so that is Dragon Quest Treasures. I did not like this game. It's a JRPG, but it's really like a collect-a-thon. It's a big world to collect things, and I don't like collecting anything. It really just felt like a giant side quest. This is not a JRPG where you go to towns and do stuff like that. It's an action JRPG. It's cool, and it has Dragon Quest vibes because of the music and the art style, but it really does. It's not a Dragon Quest game, so obviously don't go in thinking that. I knew that ahead of time, but I just wanted to give it a shot anyway because I like Dragon Quest XI and it's a spin-off of that. But Dragon Quest Treasures was not for me. You had to collect. It just really felt tedious. Like, you're always having to collect these treasures in different worlds, and I found it very boring. And I almost dropped it until I don't know, pulled myself together and said I have to beat it. So I did beat Dragon Quest Treasures, but man, it was a slog to me. Sorry. Next, we've got Tales of Symphonia. This is one that is beloved by many. It was a, JRPG on the GameCube. So many people like it. I think this is a good game. I will say that. This is a thumbs up. It's a good game. Is it an amazing game to me? No. This is definitely not a favorite. I don't like it because I found that I shouldn't say I don't like it, but I don't love it because to me, this started off really strong, interesting idea, and some really creepy stuff going on here, actually. Really, kind of like off, and I like that. But the reason was it kind of overstayed its welcome, and it's really puzzly. And I don't like puzzly games. So if you like puzzles and JRPGs, like Zelda stuff, you might really dig this, but I don't like that, so for me, it was quite irritating, and I just felt like the story kind of took a nosedive, and it just wasn't that interesting by the end. I wanted it to just be over, so it's a good game, but I don't love it. Next, we've got Bayonetta, and I had never actually played this before, and I enjoyed it, but I wasn't also in love with it either. I think this is a really kind of interesting, unique kind of game. I really like the character of Bayonetta. I was really interested in her, but man, was it drab. And I know it's from the PS3 era, and it's just hideous. I'm sorry, I know I've said that before, but it's a really ugly game. It's just brown, bronze, silver, like it's just dark and ugly. I don't love that. To me, it was not inspiring playing it, and I wasn't really interested in many aspects of this game, like the combat. It's just not really my thing. So yeah, again, not a bad game, it's just not a game that appeals to me specifically, but something about it kind of made me like it, so I don't hate it, and I would give Bayonetta 2 a chance. But yeah, not really my thing, but I am glad that I played it. Next game is Blue Reflection Second Light. I can absolutely recommend this. I really like it. It's great. If you like the first Blue Reflection, you will absolutely be, at home here. You'll really enjoy this one. It is definitely fan servicey. It's goofy, it's silly, it's Japanese schoolgirls, but they're magical girls, and they're on an island, and it's very wacky. Yeah, really strange, but at the same time, really good and heartfelt and super cozy. This is like, you just want to like snuggle up while you play this game, and I know that is not my thing. You guys know that is not, I'm like that anti-cozy person. I just don't like games like that, but this one is actually really cool. I really enjoyed this from start to finish. It's way longer than the first one. It's about 40 hours, but it's really solid. This is a great JRPG that I think not a lot of people talk about, and yes, you can play it without playing the first one, but I do think you should play the first one. So I am pro playing Blue Reflection before this, but yeah, definitely give this a shot if you like anything kind of weeby, if you like JRPGs, really good music, just gorgeous, kind of nice looking graphics. I don't know, it's a really cool game, and I just really enjoyed it. Next up, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy. I actually did the PS5 upgrade on this, and it started off okay for me, and by the end, I was like really into it. I thought it was great, and it's some of the best voice acting I've ever heard in video games. Really solid, excellent. You do not care that nobody looks like the people in the movies. It doesn't matter. It's really good. I hope we get another one of these, because this was actually like a really fun, solid action game, like a really cool superhero game. So I'm all for it. I really do like superhero games sometimes. They're kind of a nice break in between like long JRPGs, as you can see. So yeah, I don't have much to say about it because it's shorter, but it's really fun. Okay, so this one, excellent, fantastic game. I've talked about it a million times, but it's Harvestella. Holy smokes, this is a wonderful game. It is not a farming game, okay? It has like 10% of the game is farming elements. Fine, whatever, but 90% of the game is a great action JRPG that you've got to check out. I will say it's science fiction. I won't say why, because I don't like to spoil stuff, but this is not what you think it is. Like, this is not just some, farming sim in a medieval setting. This is like action JRPG, sci-fi, really cool, kind of has Star Ocean vibes. This is like a really neat game, okay, and has a really gorgeous world map, gorgeous graphics actually, because I know it's more of a B title with Square Enix. It's not one of their like main like Final Fantasy kind of games, so definitely give this a shot if you haven't. I've definitely talked about it before, and I am definitely telling you to play it. I made sure to replay my very favorite game of all time, which is Earthbound, and yeah, I had never actually played it more than once. I played Earthbound for years, but once I had beaten it, I kind of kept it as that. And this year I said, no, I am going to replay it. I want to play Earthbound. It's been a while. I'm due. This is my favorite game of all time, so I probably should play it more than once. And lo and behold, it is still my very favorite game of all time. Nothing has changed. It's the best. I loved it. I had such a wonderful experience with it. I played it on the Switch, instead of the Super Nintendo version, because I originally beat it on the Super Nintendo, my Super Nintendo from when I was 5, and it was great, but playing it on the Switch was fantastic. I highly recommend it. Go on the Nintendo Switch Online, play Earthbound if you haven't played it. It is my favorite game of all time, and I am telling you, you must play it. It's one of well, it's my favorite game of all time, but I really truly do believe it's one of the best games ever made. Next we have Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, a great platformer from the Wii that they ported to the Switch, and I really enjoyed this. This is a solid platforming game. In terms of Kirby on the Switch, I do like Forgotten Land a little bit more, but this is more traditional side-scrolling, and it's really, really fun. So if you want something that's just traditional, not too hard, go for it. You can make it super hard by having to collect everything, but it's just a really nice experience, and I just really enjoyed it. Next, we have The Quarry. Really awesome, really fun, point-and-click horror game. This is super fun. I loved it. I really, really enjoyed all the characters and trying to figure out what was going on here, and it was really fun to just make choices. I just did whatever I felt like, and I was like, if I do this, I know that person's probably gonna die, or that person's not gonna make it, but it's just fun to do your own thing, and then I'm sure it would be fun to play it again knowing what happens and then choosing a different outcome, because there are so many outcomes with games like this, because there are tons of characters in this, and like they can all die, or none of them, or half of them. It's really, really kind of interesting. You're like, there'll be something happening, it's like go left or right, and it's like a split second, you gotta make that decision, and that person could die or live. So it's really interesting. I really recommend this. It's very cinematic, so if you want kind of a break from traditional video games and you want to just play those kind of point and click quick time event kind of games, this is really good. I actually quite enjoyed this. Next, we have one of my very favorite games now of all time, and that is Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line. Holy smokes, one of the best rhythm games ever made. This is fantastic. It's all the Final Fantasy music, plus now there's DLC with other games that aren't, it's not Final Fantasy, like you can play, there's like Chrono Trigger on there and stuff, like really cool. And then there's all the Final Fantasy spin-off games, like everything from like Crisis Core to mobile games to you name it, anything. It is really great, and it's got all the sequels, like you play music from Final Fantasy 13 2 or Lightning Returns or whatever. It's really, really good. This is a game I will never get sick of. It's kind of like a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to me, where it's like you'll just play it forever. It never ever ages. It's fantastic. You've got to check it out. It's really, really, really good. The next game, unfortunately, is a game I traded in because I just wasn't feeling it. I didn't feel like I needed it anymore. After I beat it, I thought, I don't know. And that is Kena Bridge of Spirits. This is a really neat game, okay? It looks like a Pixar movie. It's gorgeous. You start it up and you think, wow. But I found it to be a little soulless. It was really boring, and I could care less about what I was doing, and that made me really disengaged from everything. Gameplay-wise, it's kind of neat, it's kind of puzzly, you're looking around, but I just could care less about what I was doing, like, at all. And so that made me really just, like, completely, I was out of it. I was not into it at all. It was very, very boring. So for me, I thought, I don't need to keep this. Games that I don't like and I can't wait for them to end, they don't need to be on my shelf anymore. So unfortunately, this is one of them. I know a lot of you guys out there like this game, but I just didn't. So that's kind of my quick little review on that. Next is a very highly anticipated game of 2023, and that was Final Fantasy 16. Whoa, I mean, we only get these like once a decade, so this was a really big deal to get Final Fantasy 16. I was so excited. When they first announced this, I was completely let down because it looked like not my thing. It had a Dark Souls kind of vibe. It was medieval. It was super dark. And then the demo came out, and I was like, oh, okay, I actually think this might be my thing. I can get past the setting. It's not my setting, but the story and characters look really interesting. And then I played it, and it started off really strong, and then it got really kind of boring. This is a game that goes like this. It's got really high moments where it's like, whoa, this is incredible. I mean, the CG looks great. Everything's, I'm excited. I'm engaged. I'm really into it. And then it dips, and then you play like 2 hours of really boring stuff. They're main missions that feel like side quests, and they're very boring and very uneventful and, like, honestly, major snore. So then that would happen, and then you go back up again and go, oh, this is really great. So just saying, really, really not, I would not place it as a favorite Final Fantasy by any means, but I'm glad I played it. It's still a good game, but I was definitely happy for it to be done. Then we have Dragon Quest VIII. I have a thing where I like to play one Dragon Quest game a year. This was the one I chose, and I am not disappointed. It's one of the best Dragon Quest games I've ever played. I am so happy I played it. My goodness, it's amazing. Dragon Quest VIII is solid. This was like everything I like in a game, because Dragon Quest to me is pure JRPG comfort. Like, it's everything I want. It's usually fun and whimsical. The music is really good. It's never like hard to understand or follow, and the battle system is very simple and basic. That's my thing. I don't like crazy complicated battle systems. I really truly just like, you know, hit, defend, magic, run. Like, I really just like that. So it's probably why I like Pokemon, why I like Earthbound. I like games like that, very simple. And this is everything. This is all of that. It was really, really great. I just loved it. I was so into it. It's definitely a long one, but man, it just flew by. I really enjoyed it. It's great. I highly recommend this, especially if you like Dragon Quest XI, which is where I started. And going back to this was amazing. Great. And yes, I realize that PlayStation 2 might be a better version in terms of, like, you know, the music is better, but they took away random encounters with this, so it's kind of nice that way. You can kind of just cruise the way you want to do it. And I really enjoyed it on the 3DS. Excellent game. So I play one Dragon Quest game a year, but I also like to play one Yakuza game a year. So within this collection here, I beat Yakuza 3. And really good. It's kind of the black sheep of the Yakuza games, and I really enjoyed it. Kiryu in Okinawa, I mean, it was great. I really enjoyed this. I don't see why a lot of people don't like it. It's definitely a bit odd. I mean, he's running like an orphanage, and there's a lot of, you know, main quests that have to do with that, so it's a little different from the other ones that I've played in the series, but it was still really, really fun, and I loved it, and it had all the jaw-dropping moments that you want in a Yakuza game. So yeah, you play them in order, and this one is still really good. So I picked up the Final Fantasy 1-6 Remaster Collection this year, and I had to play a game from it because, you know, obviously, I've beat 4 and 6, but the other ones, I haven't. I'm telling you, I have not played Final Fantasy 1, but that has now changed, because I beat Final Fantasy 1 this year via the Pixel Remaster Collection, and it was awesome. It was such a fun time to kind of go back to a different time, but also play it with 2023, you know, quality of life upgrades. So it was really fun to kind of go back in time, but still kind of stay here, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. It was such a fun time that I can't wait to play 2, 3, and 5. So excited. This is like the way to go with these. Oh my god, like, I'm so happy I waited to play it until this came out. It's fantastic. I loved it, and it was just a really fun time, and surprising because it was way longer than I thought for a game that came out, you know, 30 plus years ago. Wow, like, this was actually like a chunky game. This has a lot of content in it. And of course, it is kind of the Super Mario year, and so I played Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and this is a really, really, really great platforming 2D Mario experience. Really great. It's funny, I started this, I played it, and I wasn't really feeling it, but by the end, I was like, no, this is really good. And it's definitely worth my time again. Like, I really want to replay it because it was really good. Every level is so creative and different. And yes, this is way more creative and interesting than the new Super Mario Bros. That we got on Wii and Wii U. This is way better than that. So yeah, the elephant thing, kind of weird. The little talking flower saying like, "Way to go," was kind of weird for me. But other than that, like, the game is great. So yes, there's some weird things, but I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I would definitely give this a thumbs up. It's a game that on hindsight, I was like, no, that's solid, and it's definitely one of my favorite games this year. Then I played Star Ocean: The Divine Force, because everyone was playing Second Story R, but I wanted to save it for a Christmas gift. So I'm like, well, I bought this in 2022 at the end of the year on a sale, and I thought, I gotta play Divine Force. And wow, my first Star Ocean game, great. This is so, so great. It's everything I wanted in a JRPG. It's got a great cast, a big party where you gain party members as you go, different towns, whimsical, science fiction. It was kind of everything I wanted. Really good music. I felt like I was kind of playing like a Star Wars game. It was really neat. I am so blown away by Star Ocean, and I know a lot of you are probably thinking, oh my god, it took you this long. But yeah, it did. Whatever. I'm playing Star Ocean now. I'm into it, and I thought the Divine Force is a great entry into the series. So if you haven't played a Star Ocean game, check out Divine Force. And I guess all these people are playing, Second Story R. Jump into this one now, because it's really, really good. And yeah, there's kind of an uncanny valley thing going on with the characters and the way they look, but whatever. It looks cool. I like it. And finally, to end the year, I beat Master Detective Archives Rain Code. This is a game from the people who made Danganronpa. It really feels that way, but I will say I do think it is way too long. This is a, you know, I'm going to do a review on it, don't worry, but if we want to give a little quick minute review here, it's definitely a little too long, and just it wasn't as enticing to me as Danganronpa. But I will say by the end, it was amazing, and I'm a little sad that they kind of didn't give that vibe from the very beginning, because if the whole game had been like the final chapter, I would have been way more interested and probably beat it faster, because I wasn't ever as, you know, stoked to play it. But the end is really, really cool. Really great game, and this is, it's neat. I still really recommend it. I love the art style in it. It's very similar to Danganronpa in the sense that it's weird and creepy and definitely like sadistic, but it has the same kind of gameplay. There's the exploration where you gather clues and evidence, and then you obviously have to solve, you know, some mysteries. So very similar to Danganronpa, similar to like Ace Attorney. So if you like games like that, if you like solving mysteries, solving puzzles, gathering clues and evidence, and looking around to discover things, and you like visual novels, because I would say a good chunk of this game is that. I mean, yes, there's the, you know, solving stuff and gathering evidence, but it's a lot of reading. So I'm telling you this because some people are probably like super turned off by that, and some people are probably super turned on by that. So just so you know, there's a lot of reading going on. It's like, you know, half or more of the game is a VN. So just so you know, it's cool, but I just found it to be a little too long. So those are all the games that I beat in 2023. Really stoked. 21 games, my best record yet, my best year yet in terms of games beat. So really stoked on that. And my next video will be my top 10 games that I played last year. So I'm sure some are obvious. You can tell that Dragon Quest Treasures isn't going to be on that list, but you know, I have my tops, and I'm very stoked because it was a wonderful year. I played some old, some new, really, really great, and I'm super excited to hear about what you guys played in 2023. Did you play a ton of games, only play a couple? Tell me in the comments below. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, click like, and of course, see you in the next one.